Good evening, Theo Trade. This is Corey Roseblumen. You're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 29th of June in 2020. And the market pushed down just about the Dawn's 2983 gravity spot and rallied straight up off of that. And in tonight's video, we'll focus on some key stocks that are doing similar patterns, but like last week, we'll frame this in terms of the edge of the profile and a pushback in. So starting with the S&P 500, and by the way, this is a volume profile chart. It's a 30-minute look back or 10-day look back with a 30-minute chart. If you're more of an intraday trader, this is your time frame. If you're more of a swing trader, this is your time frame. And we'll probably look at the hourly chart now, just to get a sense of where the markets are. So on this perspective, whenever the market is at or above, let me actually show you the 30-minute chart, at or above this yellow line, think of it sort of like the weekly expected move, sort of. That's an option volatility or implied volatility type of statistic. This is a volume type of statistic, but it's similar logic. And this is the upper value area extreme, which is one standard deviation above the mean or the point of control, which is red. That's like a magnet. And if it's down here, it's one standard deviation beneath the mean. And in terms of trade tactics or strategies, when the market's at or above this upper spot, there is an advantage to go short or take bullish profits. When the market is down beneath the yellow, there is an advantage to go long or take bearish profits. Now, this can easily push outside, but remember there is a magnetic pull, statistically, back to the midpoint. That's what's happened in today's session. When it got overstretched like a rubber band, it seems to have bounced back or snapped back inside. So we are looking for continued bullish action, especially if the market can trade up through and above 3050. That would open a rapid buy opportunity for intraday and swing traders toward 3100 or 3100. On the NASDAQ, we see the similar logic, except that's more like a bell curve, and that's the tall bell curve centering about this 10,000 point, which is interesting given where the NASDAQ is just about the 10,000 magnet. Again, above a rubber band down, beneath a rubber band up. Just statistics and probability. So now we're here with the NASDAQ, so there isn't really a lot we can do except maybe play to the upside here. And the Dow Mini Futures, that's a good example of the market pulling above and zapping back down, pulling beneath and zapping back in. Zapping is a very professional term meaning trading or price moving in that direction. And finally, the Russell is a good example because it stayed underneath this yellow line and gave intraday traders not quite Friday, but 3 sessions out of 4 to look for a bull type of support play. On the other side, this logic still works with intraday stocks and logic for the swing traders out there for in-out spreads. Again, bear type of positions favored above, bull type of positions favored from beneath. Again, it is similar in logic for the standard deviation of the bell curve for what we might use for expected moves. And that's just a few looking at those. We'll take a look at FedEx and how the expected move calculator plays in. Same type of logic. When the market, is above that expected move, there is an edge to go short. You see that here. When there's a movement beneath or at the expected move, there's an edge to go long. So that's the thought process when we're talking about this indicator that you might not be as familiar with. The expected move probably has a better familiarity to you. So the Boeing trade or setup or logic, again, short above, favored, and long beneath. That's played all the way back to the red point of control. Or again, think of it like a standard deviation or standard distribution bell curve. We can see how that plays out here. When it's underneath, it gets pulled back in. When it's above, it gets pulled back the other way. And just taking the top gainers of today's session, Boeing had a big trend day. So did Simon Property Group, General Electric, similar logic on all these stocks, Raytheon, Exelon, Honeywell, and FedEx. These are just names that are top in the S&P 100. If you're curious, stock that's been in the news a lot is Facebook. And despite how all the news, these are little short sell intraday trades, Despite all the news about this boycott and advertisers bailing on Facebook, the profile's still working. The market or Facebook shares were above the yellow, and that got zapped back in short. And now that was beneath the yellow with a lot of bearish headlines, and they were bearish. But the Facebook shares pulled back inside the yellow profile. And that leaves a pocket or open air zone for rapid movement, just like we saw on the downside. For Amazon, we had a similar movement all the way down from the yellow. Again, this is bigger picture concepts, swing trade type of concepts for in-out spreads, maybe bear verticals for Amazon, because we have a lot of movement between these yellow zones. I'd highlighted this in a few sessions here of a 2800, 2775 for a play potentially all the way down to this 2650 or thereabout, and that's what has occurred at least short term. And that probably would favor, again, vertical spread type of strategies as opposed to the smaller, more fixed 50-50 profit to risk and reward to risk that an in-out spread might give us. And we can look at Apple shares and the same type of logic. Actually, Apple was strong and did not go all the way outside the yellow. And still, short-term traders only, but that's going to be a favored short and didn't quite give us a favored long, but stayed above that yellow line. You can see this on any number of stocks, all stocks for that matter, in terms of the profile logic. I like to use a 30-minute chart because I tend to be a very short-term trader, intraday trader at best, or most of the trades. But if you're doing duration or swing type of trades, you can use this same time frame, but you might be better served by an hourly chart because that plays out over multiple sessions as opposed to the next trading day. Either way, this indicator is the volume profile. I'm going to use that without extended hours on. 30-day look back for a 30-minute chart, 10-day look back for an intraday type of position or game plan, and the hourly chart with a 20-day look back. That's going to be more swing trade oriented. And again, any number of stocks, any number of ETFs, and by the way, the strongest of today was, strangely enough, the discretionary right there with the Staples. Actually, Staples was about the same, and utility. So that's a little bit of diversity across the indices. Our most popular names, things that we watch on a daily basis, is financials were strong, and technology was right there with it. Actually, industrials, industrials was the strongest, and it was up 3%. That is in large part because of Boeing. So the same type of information, same type of logic. Boeing was up 14%. That pulled industrials up 3%, and that's what helped put 500 points to the Dow mini futures, at least in part. The Dow is a price-weighted index. Boeing, being a big price mover, it moved about $25 today, times 7, times 8 for the Dow multiplier, and that's, might have missed this one. The Dow was up 500 points today, where the Russell was up 3.25%. So bullish moves in play, support held, edge of the cliff. That was a conversation from last week, last video. The edge of the cliff held. The market's rotating back, and we're always going to be careful within these parameters. As always, be careful and safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with tonight's Theo video for June 29th, 2020.